in this field of web development, there are three areas that you can specialize on. You can either become a front-end web developer, or maybe you can also become a back-end web developer, or maybe you can have uh, good skills on both areas, that is on the front end and the back end. And that's now when we say you are a full stack web developers. So as I said, there are three areas that you can specialize on. You can either become a front end, back end, or you can combine both to become a full stack web developer. And in our today's session, I would like to demonstrate um, at least for the beginners or for the guys who are want to start their careers in this field of web development, or maybe you are fresh in university or you are a fresh graduate and you want now to specialize on software development, especially web development. You need to understand the concept of how the front end and the back end works. Sometimes you'll find that maybe you get, when you graduate, you're not in a position to differentiate these things. Or maybe sometimes if you're a self-taught kind of a programmer, uh, there is a lot of content on the internet, and sometimes you might not get time to understand, or maybe you might not get a resource that will be able to kind of demonstrate how you can separate these two entities, that is the front end and the back end. And if you're good at it, how now you can combine them. Because in most cases, when we are learning, we kind of mix each and everything together to a point that it becomes very hard for us to get to understand the separation of these two areas, that is the front end and the back end. Now, so make sure you stay tuned until the end of this video. And in case it's your first time to be here on this channel, kindly make sure you click the subscribe button, because that's how you normally support this channel. And for those who have subscribed, or those who are subscribed to our channel, kindly make sure you also continue sharing our videos to as many people as you can, because that's how you normally support this channel. As I keep on saying, this is one of the best tech YouTube channel in Kenya and Africa. We have got amazing content, amazing videos, touching on payment gateways, working on final year projects, other areas even to do with hardwares, USSD applications, M-Pesa integrations, data science and machine learning, and even networking. So there is amazing content which is here, even graphics design. As you can see, I have got some videos that touch on CorelDRAW, things to do with the QuickBooks, and even revision materials for those who are doing diploma course in ICT, that is on various institutions or colleges. So make sure you can check some of our content, and I know you are going to learn something from this. So let's get back and start our today's session. And as I said, today I want to show you the separation way, or this how to separate your front end and the back end, and how this concept applies. And in this case, you need to understand that for the front end, we normally have got various programming languages that you can use, whatever you need on the front end. That is, first of all, you need to understand much about how to use HTML, then how to use or how to work with CSS. Then you also need to understand how to work with JavaScript. Because once you have that and you get the intermediate skills, I can say that, that's when you can jump right away on the frameworks, and it is going to be easy for you to kind of understand how these frames works. And in this case, we have got some famous frameworks like React is one of the best framework which is out there. It's something that you can consider using for your front-end development. Front-end is what you normally see on the browser. Like, for example, if I open this YouTube channel, you can see there is some menus here, how we are displaying the videos and so forth. As I always say, front-end is one of the areas that I normally feel personally. It's one of the complex area of programming or web development, because it needs a lot of creativity. I'm not saying that backend doesn't need creativity, but in most cases, This is where you need to understand. You want to attract the viewers or the people who are accessing your system or your website or maybe something like that. So you need to find a unique way and a simplified way on how you can be able to deliver that information to the end user. So the creativity needs to be on another level, I can say that. But also on the back end, you need also to be creative in terms of the algorithms that you use, the logic. Sometimes you'll maybe encounter complex logic, and also need to understand how to design the structure of your database, how you're going to interact with the database, because poor database schema, it is going to affect how data is going to be either fetched or maybe organized on your database. And in that case, that's why it's very, very good and very, very important to make sure, like, even how you interact with your database, how you create the SQL queries and so forth. They are not complex in a way that they are going to slow your system. So for the backend, we have got various programming languages that you can use. And as I said, on the front end, we have got JavaScript, and JavaScript can be used also as a backend programming language. It is one of the widely used programming languages because right now you can use it on both front end and on the back end. And for the front end, when you're working with React framework, you'll find that it's very, very easy. Also, because you can use React and on the Node.js on the back end. And remember, Node.js also uses JavaScript. So once you learn JavaScript, you use it on both ends. That is the front end and the back end. So I have got that one. You can say it's one of the good programming languages that you can learn. Um, there is another language which I normally refer to it as the language of dollars, because even how you declare the variables, you use dollar sign, and it's widely used by most of the freelancers. There are a lot of readily available jobs out there, which needs someone who has got skills to do with the PHP programming language. It blends well with the MySQL database, and likewise, when you go to the Node.js, you'll find that it blends very well with the MongoDB. So there are projects which you'll find that when you do it using Node.js and to do with Node.js and what and MongoDB, it's going to be an amazing application. Like, for example, if it's a chat application, it can work well when you're working using Node.js and React for that matter. When you're using PHP, it blends very well with MySQL. As I said, they work very well together. So you can consider using that. And we have got other programming languages that you can use, like Python. But in this case, you'll use a framework called Django. That is one of the widely used and one of the best programming languages that you can use on the backend. And the framework for Python, we have got another framework called Flask and others. So other languages are like Java, we have got Rust, we have got C Sharp. You can use those programming languages also for web development purposes. But rarely you'll find that they are widely used. But in big corporates, you'll find that they kind of tend to use either Java or C Sharp and so forth. Or even Go. That is, there's that language called Go, which you can use, Golang, that is, which you can also use for programming. So those are some of the programming languages that you need to cover so that you can be good on those areas. So in our today's session, as I said, I want to demonstrate how you can now separate these things so that you can have a better understanding of how they work. In this case, I'll be using uh, what we refer to as XAMPP. So it means it's PHP. I'll do another video on a later date that will cover, that will use Node.js. So in this case, if you're using PHP, make sure you need to have a XAMPP or WAMP server. Those two, that is what is needed. And as you can see, I've installed my XAMPP and WAMP. So I have to turn on Apache and MySQL like that. So now they are up and running. So like that. Now, the next thing is to make sure you have a text editor. I have got one, which is VS Code. It's one of the best text editor out there, which you can use, as I said. Now, After that, we need to go to the next level once we turn on our XAMPP. The next thing that I will be using for this project is it's just a simple project, at least to demonstrate front end and the back end, how they interact, how they work together, because these are two applications which are communicating together. So I want to demonstrate how they normally work. And in this case, I will be using also GPT, that is ChatGPT, to make my work easier and fast. In this era, if you don't know how to use ChatGPT, it's going to be very difficult for you. Back in the days, we used to kind of debug our, because most of the time, when you are doing programming, most of the time is you consume most of the time um, while working on errors. And back in our days, for those who started back in the days before ChatGPT, remember ChatGPT came the other day. We used to use Stack Overflow to kind of debug system. We go research, read a lot of resources, blog sites, and so forth. And yeah, so, but right now, ChatGPT normally solves our problems very easy. So you need to understand how it works, because in most cases, I can tell you, uh, I've gained a lot of money through ChatGPT or using ChatGPT because I understand how it works. And sometimes you'll get some simple problems which you can solve them using ChatGPT, and you get money so long as you can interact with it. So I will go on my folder where I installed XAMPP. In my case, I installed it on local disk C. Then we have got XAMPP folder, and I have got htdocs. Um, I will call this project what? I can name this project uh, web dev demo. Let me call it web dev demo because it's a demo that will demonstrate how the front end and the back end works. So that is my folder, project folder. And once I have my project folder, I will open this project folder on the VS Code so that I can simplify things. So drag and paste it there. Then once I do that, I will click here, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create two folders. One is called backend, and the other one will be referred to as frontend. Frontend like that, front end like that, so that I can get to understand how you separate those two stuff. So the next thing that I'm going to do, the next thing that I'm going to do, sorry, I had to, don't want to, a lot of noise. Now, let's proceed. So now, as you can see, I've got my front-end folder and the back-end folder, so which is going to separate my work and make it a little bit easier. And I will need to create an index.html here, index.html, like that. That's how you separate things. And then also I can create a new folder here and call it CSS if I want CSS. Also I can create another folder here and call it JS, like that. So I will have like two folders where I can put my JS code and PHP. So for JS, because I will be using JavaScript, I will need to go there, create a file which is going to be referred to as uh, I refer to it as index.js, like that. Let me refer to it like that, index.js. Then on the backend, what you normally create is now the API. So because it's a simple project, I will just have a one file referred to as API.php because I'm using PHP on the backend like that. So as you can see, now my project is web dev demo, then backend, frontend. So when I want to run the project, I must go inside frontend. So that frontend will open index.html. Index.html will showcase whatever I have, my content. So that is how it looks like. And this structure, I want to give it to ChatGPT so that GPT can be aware of how my project structure looks like. So I can come here and say I'm creating a web app in a folder called that, and inside the folder I have backend and front end folders, where on front end I have what? I have CSS and JS folder, and on the front end JS folder and index.html, while on backend I have API.php, like that, just that simple. Then I press I can ask the GPT show the structure, first of all, to see whether it understands what I mean. So as you can see, we have got backend API, frontend CSS, script, and then we have got on the front end index.html. So it understands. So there is a MySQL database named what? Let me just name it like my project, named that, with products table, because I just want a simple, so create a query for the table, like that. That's how you simplify these things. So in this case, I need to open my SQL here. I can click on admin here. It's going to open my admin, and I want to create a database named web dev demo, and inside web dev demo I will create a table called products, like that. First, create. As I told you, backend is one of the easiest areas that you can cover. So as you can see, this is it. Then I will have a table. So I guess even GPT has created the table. So here is the table. As you can see, it has an auto increment. It has got the name, description, the price, the quantity, created at, updated at. You can update, but it's not necessary. So just like that, I can go, click go, like that. So as you can see right now, the sorry for the noise. As you can see, the query as where is the this one. Sorry for the noise. Can click on the products. As you can see, the table is here. It's good. I can ask GPT to generate insert query with 5 records. I can say products because they are products, like that. So the GPT is going to generate a simple query, because I don't want to do much, like that. And then I click there, then click there, SQL, and automatically it's supposed to insert these records, like that. So these ones now is, if I click where is web dev? Web dev, it's here, products, like that. As you can see, now I have got my 5 products. They are ready. So the database is done. That one is good to go. So now the next thing is to ask the GPT to generate API endpoint. Generate code for the API.php and return JSON and add, there is something we call COR, which is cross what, like that, access control, to make sure like you can be able, it's going to be allowed to access. Mhm. It has created a lot of code which I didn't want it to be like that. I want it to be simple, very simple, because I don't want very simple, just connection and convert into, this is complex, it's using classes and I want to make it simple, so convert into JSON. Yeah, like this is what I wanted. It's very simple, like that, copy like that. So this is the one that now gives the allows what we refer to control allow origin, origin, whatever. So on the backend, I have got API. I can click there and paste my code there and save. So right now, I have got the code for the backend, and I want to test whether the backend is working well. So I can come here and say localhost web dev demo slash. If I press enter, it just shows the folder, and because this is where the client's supposed to be passed, like on front end, but I want to go to the back end to test the endpoint whether it's generating the data. So it's using what, MySQL? No, I want to use PDO. I like using PDO. I don't want to use MySQL. Use PDO. So PDO, and there is an error because I've not changed the parameters for the database, which is very, very important. So like that, paste, then come here and say password is no, there is no password. User is root for those who normally use XAMPP, then the database will be that. Yeah, so what is happening? Here it's allow access to this page, then convert whatever data is going to get out there. It's going to be JSON or accept JSON. Then we have got connection. These are the parameters to connect to the database. Then connection, it is happening here using PDO. Then we have got the query to fetch data from the products. Once you get that data, this data we need to convert it into JSON. You use JSON decode. So once you do that, then it's going to pass. You're good to go. So there are different ways you can test. Like if I come here, I can click here and refresh. It's supposed to show me the data like that. So that's how it does it. Or maybe the other way, you can copy this URL. And if you have what we refer to as the Postman installed on your machine, you can also use Postman to test. Like for example, I want to test using Postman. For the guys who are starting their career, this is a tool that you need to use as a backend web developer. Yeah, let it open. So now I have got my backend is up and running. It's good. Now I will need generate code for HTML. That is index dot HTML and use Bootstrap. At least Bootstrap, it's going to because I don't want to use CSS. Let me use Bootstrap like that. So this is okay. I can copy this one, come here and paste it inside index.html like that. So what does this mean? I've got the HTML code, then we have got, this is the CDN for the Bootstrap. CSS, you can remove this one and link the CSS here, which you normally write link style sheet. This one, just click CSS style sheet. It's inside folder called CSS slash like that. So that one is connected. Even if I just write style, style css like that, then there must oh, I've not created the folder, that's why it's not there. .css like that. So I will need to have a file with the same name here on the index. I can click here, new, like that. That will be my CSS in case I need to have a code for the CSS, but I don't need because I'm using Bootstrap. So then that one, then I have got a div code container. Inside container, I've got a heading code list, then row. I don't know, I want to display. I want the data to be displayed on a table when the page is loaded, like that. So in this case, it's supposed to change this one into a table and give the table an ID or maybe a class. So let me copy this one so that I can replace again this one. Okay, if I replace, it's going to, I want to have this line for whatever reason, like this. So get this one and put it here. I will insert it here for the CSS so that I can know the CSS in case I want to insert the CSS, it's going there. So as you can see, Bootstrap is still there. CSS I've inserted. Then class is container, heading code, product lists. Then we have got table, which is responsive, which is a Bootstrap class. Then we have got product lists, which is the table ID. Then the table, it has got headers here, and then the data will go in here. So like that. The other thing is that the scripts needs to be included here. So I want to push this script, custom script. Let me just move it up. I don't want it to be there because this script belongs to Bootstrap, but I want mine here. So this is what we are going to write. So we save the changes and it's coming from the JS folder. So automatically, I think it has created a JS code. Let's see. Does it have a JS code? No. Now, generate JS code using fetch, using JS fetch API, using JS fetch API, fetch, and insert the data to the table. So I just need now the function for calling the JS. So it's supposed to be on document load, so that when the document is loaded, that is the page for the index.js, when it's loaded, that's when, yeah, as you can see, it has called the function here, document load. So what does that mean? It means I can come to the JS, put my code here. What does that code mean? Have a function here called fetch products. What is happening? It's using promises. So promise, it's going to backend. So backend, this is supposed to be is it dot? We will see whether it's accepting. So it's going to this endpoint, which is called backend./api.php. Check if it can get data. If it is going to get the data, no, there is the first function. If there is a problem, then we have got this one. This is a promise. Then we have got, if the data, we get the data. Then once we get the data, then we do the following to the data. We get the products body, that is the products table body, and this is where we are going to append the data. So in a HTML, which is now blank, we set it blank, then we are going to, for each of the products that we got from here, these products, now we are going to create a table row, and the table row is going to be appended on the what? On the table body, which is now this products table class, like as you can see like that. Otherwise, if you didn't get any data, you get the error. So now this was a function, and this being a function, you need to call the function. So you call the function when the document is loaded. So that's when you call the function, so like that. So the code is okay there. We need to test, but I feel like it might be having some problems. So let me click like that. As I told you, what you need to load now, it's the front end like that. And when you click the front end, as you can see, it has loaded the page, but the page, it means the data is not coming. Where is the data missing? So we need to check this one. Console, load failed, script, source, blah, 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 something like that. There is an issue to do with somewhere. So I can check on here, and you can see network, there is a problem. So come here, and here I'm going to put a dot slash, like to name the folder for the backend where I can trace it. So local hosts, do I get the folder, or do I need to add another folder? Let's see. No, it is not eating the endpoint. That data is not getting to the endpoint. So JS, where is the problem? I can't seem to get the endpoint. So JS, there is a little bit problem which I'm getting, because it's not getting the API. This one I wanted to show you how it looks like. Let me demonstrate that one as I figure out what is the issue. So this one I was saying that we have got the backend, and then we have got API.php, this one. So if you want to test it with what we refer to as Postman, you do there, you just post this one here, and then you click, because it's a get, you click there, and it's supposed to display the data. As you can see, the data is going to be displayed here. So that one is going through. I want to change the path here to be like that. Like that, I can save. Then I click on back, then refresh like that. What is the error? There is an error. Frontend JS script. JS script, is it mean that loading file for this file is not being loaded? That is JS. Okay, let me see on the HTML. You need to understand where the problem is coming from. So I can say JS, click there, then index.js, save changes. What is the name of the table? Document to get element by ID. Oh, not the table ID. Product table ID. That one is okay. Where is the error coming from? Yeah, it's as loaded right now. It's okay now. So as you can see, when I check on the network, I can see the endpoint here, and I can check the response, and I can see there is data which is coming. So if I'm missing the data now from the UI, I know like the data, I'm able to get it on the front end. Maybe the problem is now on the front end. So that one you might counter check. And as you can see, now the front end, that is front end. Now this is index.html. Index.html is able to get the data which is coming from the database. So that's a very nice separation of things. At least now you understand. Let me go back here. Where is web dev? Like that. So web dev, I have got backend and the front end. So front end have got my CSS, JavaScript, and HTML code. And on the backend, I have got the API endpoints. So this one now you can write different functions or a class that will be able to handle different requests. Because when you are doing the requests here, you can specify on the on here. Like for example, If you want to change, you can change how the data is going to be, how the request is going to be done here. Or maybe you can send to different paths if you want to create different files which will be handling that. So you can specify them here. So I hope you have learned. Let me check whether if I do dot dot, it was dot dot, it's supposed to be dot dot actually, whether it's going to display or maybe there's something which is missing. Yeah, it's okay now. No, like that. So yeah, our system is working. That is how the front end and the back end works. That's how you separate the stuffs and you're good to go. And you handle everything. So you can put some buttons here for editing. You can edit what data of the front end if you want to do some things here and there. And you can add a code for fetch. Maybe if you want to search as or filter this data, you can do filter among other things. So I hope you have learned backend, frontend. Backend, we have got API endpoint, this one. So here, it's just to allow the access, JSON to accept JSON data or maybe to share back JSON data. Then we have got connection to the database. This is the line that now does the connection to the database. Then we have got the query to fetch the data now. Once you fetch the data, because it's a multiple number of rows, you fetch them like that. And you put them inside an array. This is the array like this. Once you insert them in an array, you convert them. You use JSON underscore decode to convert them into JSON data. That is PHP array into the PHP data. So once you convert them, the next thing is to export. But here by default, you must make sure you close the connection of the database. Because if you leave it open, then someone else can do something about it. Now, that is they can hijack your sessions. Then we have got that is the endpoint. That is what it's doing. Now, where does the thing start? When you load the page for the index.html, the index.html will load this content. Once it loads this content, there is a code here for JavaScript. What happens with the code for the JavaScript? The code for the JavaScript, it's going to listen if the page has loaded, that is the index.html page is loaded. And if it's loaded, it's going to execute the fetch and populate products function. Which function? This is the function. The function is using promise to fetch data. And once it gets data, then it's going to display that data on an HTML table, as you can see. So where is it fetching the data? It's fetching from this API endpoint. And where is the endpoint? The endpoint is the backend. And now you have separated your stuff. And in case maybe you are given the role to create the backend, you understand now what it means. If it is front end, you understand how it means. I hope you have learned something. Make sure you follow, share, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tech videos like these ones. Thank you guys and be blessed.